So a former NFL insider said today that the Chiefs are expecting Rashee Rice to be suspended at least half of the 2024 NFL season. That is, if he's even suspended at all. And if that sounds confusing, it's because it should. And in this video, I'll give you the most recent update on the Rashee Rice situation, but not before I touch on the Chiefs rookies getting their new numbers, Welsh rugby star rees-zammit potentially being in danger of the chopping block already, and more. But first, how about those? First up, the Chiefs' new rookies have had their numbers assigned, with Xavier Worthy getting the numero uno. Pretty fitting considering he's the fastest player on the team, though I will say part of me is sad that number one no longer belongs to running back Jerick McKinnon, who is still a free agent and wore number one the past few years. The running back room is one to keep eyes on, as McKinnon could still potentially sign later on before training camp, something he's done the last couple of seasons, but if he does, he will be wearing another number from the looks of it. Anyway, next is the second-round pick, offensive tackle Kingsley Suamataia, getting number 76. Fourth rounders, tight end Jared Wiley is going to be number 12, which is kind of wild for a tight end, number 12. And then safety Jaden Hicks gets number 21. Then fifth-round pick Hunter Norzad, the Swiss Army knife offensive lineman, is number 60. Sixth rounder, the cornerback Kamal Haddon, is 17. And seventh rounder and offensive lineman CJ Hansen is number 61. I never hold too tightly onto the rookie numbers, as they can change after this season, and maybe, just maybe, the numbers could change even after minicamp before we get to preseason. But hey, I'm still probably going to snag a number one jersey Xavier Worthy, because why the hell not? He's definitely staying around, presumably for the next 4, maybe 5 years. Plus, he recently got the Chiefs logo permanently tatted on his forearm, so let's freaking go. On the subject of rookies, the dates for all 32 teams' rookie minicamps is now out, and all you really need to know from this graphic is that the Chiefs rookie minicamp is this upcoming Saturday, May 4th, may the 4th be with you, to May 6th, which is a Monday. So this Saturday to this upcoming Monday. And no, I have no idea why they are the only team that's going on this particular date, but hey, there you have it. Next up, did you guys know that the Chiefs granted their single allotted roster exemption for an international player last week, but it's not actually for the former Welsh rugby star rees-zammit. They actually placed this on their international player from last year, and that is offensive tackle Jason Godric. Basically what this means is, going into OTAs, mini camps, training camp, and preseason, Jason Godric will not count against the team's 90-man roster, and if he doesn't make the 53, he then can have the 17th spot on the practice squad that's solely dedicated for international players. From there, he could be elevated up to 3 times. I also want to make this part clear, because some people will hear what I just said and think I'm wrong about an international player not counting towards the 53-man roster, even after cutdown day, but sadly, that is not true. Once the roster goes from 90 or 91, with Jason Godric getting the international player exemption, all the way down to the 53-man roster, every single player, national or international, counts as one spot on the 53. But yes, for right now at least, Jason Godric does not count towards the 90-man roster, since he has the international player exemption placed on him. This also means rees-zammit does count towards the 90-man roster, and he cannot be the exclusive 17th player on the practice squad this season. That is now solely a spot for Jason Godric, and what that means for LRZ is that he has to make the 53-man roster or be valuable enough in the team's eyes to sign him to the practice squad as one of the 16 players they can have. But again, he will not have that season-long protection as an international player on the practice squad. And I personally was a little surprised by this news when I saw it, because I really thought the international exemption would be placed on rees-zammit, who the team has on the roster currently as a running back. And this could either mean the team is pretty freaking high on LRZ and he's looking likely to make the 53-man roster, or be placed on the practice squad as one of the 16 guys if he's not quite ready. It could also be as drastic as the team not high on him at all, and he's in danger of being cut as early as the next week or two to make room for all the upcoming new players like the UDFAs, draft picks, more upcoming available free agents, as well as players they sign after rookie minicamp. Charles Goldman of A to Z Sports said, quote, It could also mean the team is preparing for the eventuality that he is no longer with the team. Time will surely tell there, but I figured it was at least worth noting and let you all know about this in case you missed it last week. I think the Chiefs social media team did a hell of a lot of promo featuring rees-zammit recently. It would be pretty odd to me if he was cut from the team in the next couple of weeks after all of that. Now, there's also the possibility maybe the Chiefs could remove Godrich's international player designation down the road and place it on LRZ, but upon trying to research this to see if a team could switch which international player on their team can have the exemption, I couldn't find a clear answer. In order for that to even happen, though, Godrich might have to get waived altogether, so KC could place the exemption on LRZ, but we will find out either way eventually. Now, something I did find out is that even a player who has an international exemption placed on them, if they don't make the 53-man roster, they have to clear waivers still in order to make that 17th spot on the practice squad. Then once they do, they are safe there for the entire season. So maybe the Chiefs believe even if they placed that international exemption on rees-zammit rather than Godrich, rees-zammit wouldn't clear waivers and the international exemption would basically be irrelevant for him. And this could actually signal the team plans on stashing him on the 53-man roster this season to keep him around, even if he's not quite ready to play. Again, we've talked about this before, but if he does, his most logical path to seeing real playing time is via the kick returns with the new kickoff rules. With all those scenarios being gone through, though, let me know your thoughts on this situation right now. Do you think LRZ is safe considering all the promo the team has done with him and the fact that he was also in Texas training with Mahomes and the crew? Or do you think he could already potentially be on the chopping block? Let me know either way in the comments down below. I understand this isn't the most pressing of issues, but we are now reaching the off season and you're going to get what you get in some of these videos. Now, something else people keep asking me about is Rashee Rice and if there's any real updates to his legal case, the lawsuit going on, and all that was a result of him wrecking that rented Lambo the day before Easter and fleeing the scene on that freeway in Texas. Well, as of right now, things have been pretty quiet overall. However, Ian Rappaport shared some info about Rice on day 3 of the NFL draft. He said that depending on how fast Rice's legal situation plays out, he could potentially be safe from being suspended this season. Basically, there's the possibility that if Rashee Rice's court case is still going on during the NFL season, discipline would then be handled the following season. But if his case concludes sooner rather than later, i.e. before the start of the season, Rice would then most likely be suspended this year. Rappaport made it clear that this is more of a timing thing than anything else, and a suspension is probably coming at some point either this year or next. It just all depends on how fast this legal situation gets resolved. I personally would prefer his case to wrap up ASAP and for him to get the suspension out of the way this year just so it can be done and over with. With that being said, though, the question now is, how many games will he actually be suspended for? Well, it depends on who you ask at the moment. It could be 2 to 4 games. A lawyer thinks that, a longtime defense attorney. 4 to 6 games, some people think that, and maybe even up to 8 if the league wants to make an example of him, considering, the Henry Ruggs situation and other crazy examples of people speeding in their automobiles. Now, I will say this, James Palmer, formerly of NFL Network, appeared on Steve Smith's Agent 89 Breakdown show today, and he said this.
Rashee Rice has got his legal stuff going on. How do you see...
He's going to be suspended.
Yeah,
Let's just put it out there.
Yeah, I was going to leave it at that. Yes.
Half the season at least.
So in case you missed what he said there, he said Rice is going to be suspended for half the season at least, which means 8 games minimum. Editor Cole here. I've watched this video even more now, and he definitely said something along the lines of they expect him to miss at least half the season. So that could be the Chiefs expecting him to miss at least half the season. If so, you are really bracing for impact, so he could very well be suspended that long. James Palmer, I initially thought he said he's going to be suspended for at least half the season, but he did say they are expecting him to miss at least half the season. So maybe you're preparing for worst case scenario here if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, but if so, they'll need to do potentially what I suggest later in this video. Just wanted to clarify that he didn't say exactly what I thought he said initially, but the premise of what was said doesn't really change. I mean, it's an 18-week season. You play 17 games. It's roughly 8 games. That's about half the season. And that is certainly more than initially expected and would be a huge blow to the Chiefs offense. So honestly, I hope James Palmer is just flat out wrong with this one. Of course, if that's the punishment the NFL feels Rice deserves, then okay, he's got to face the consequences of his actions, but that also means that the Chiefs feel a suspension that heavy could be incoming, they might actually look to add one more veteran wideout here in free agency. Sure, they added Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy in the draft, and those are both great pickups, but is that enough if Rice is gone at least half the season? I mean, if you look at the free agent receivers still available, there's no names that just stand out as go get him right now, but there are some names that could help the roster. There's Hunter Renfrow, Odell Beckham Jr., no thanks, Tyler Boyd, MVS, okay, that was a joke, Zay Jones, who just got released yesterday, DJ Chark, McCole Hardman could actually be a legit possibility on a cheap one-year deal, Chase Claypool, among others. So again, maybe one of these guys signs a one-year deal with the team here sooner rather than later. That is, unless the Chiefs think Worthy and Hollywood are good enough with the help of Justin Watson, Justin Ross, Sky Moore, and Kadarius Toney. Justin Watson is definitely serviceable, but I would be slightly nervous if KC is opting to just trust the rest of those guys I mentioned, thinking they will step up and make it happen. Though to be fair, Hollywood Brown is already a step up from MVS and then some, and Xavier Worthy is a pretty talented wideout, though technically not yet proven at the NFL level. He is a first-round pick, though, and might be heavily leaned upon his rookie year like Rice was last year, especially if Rice is seriously suspended at least half the 2024 NFL season. But with all that being said, where are you currently leaning on the length of Rice's suspension? Do you think James Palmer is on one and it won't be near that duration, or could he be onto something? And if he is, which veteran wide receiver would you potentially like to see the Chiefs go after to sign on a cheapish one-year deal? Let me know either way in the comments down below. And until next time, let's freaking go. How about those?